Greg Marshall leads Wichita State to their 6th straight Valley Tournament semifinal as the 8th-ranked Shockers are looking to repeat as Arch Madness champions as they look to take their game to a new level. Standing in the way today is the Illinois State Redbirds, picking up victory number 20 yesterday, led by newcomer of the year in the Valley, Devon Akun-Purcell. Illinois State looks for the upset special. It's March. We're under the arch. Let the madness begin. Well, the temperature is starting to rise here in the Gateway City and in downtown St. Louis Scott Trade Center. It's going to get hot. It's semifinal Saturday of Arch Madness as Coventry Healthcare and Aetna Company proudly presents Game 1 of our doubleheader as the Illinois State Redbirds take on the 8th-ranked Wichita State Shockers. Let's take a look at the Valley bracket, the silver anniversary of Arch Madness. Shockers over Selwyn, Illinois to move into the semifinals against Illinois State, who escaped their victory yesterday over Evansville. Meanwhile, Northern Iowa pulled away in the second half. Later on today, they'll take on Loyola, who had a huge win yesterday. Welcome inside the Scott Trade Center. Scott Warman with you in our MVC studios. And of course, semifinal Saturday, always special for Wichita State. NIT Championship, Final Four. Then they went 35-0 before losing to Kentucky. What do they have up their sleeve this season as they take on Illinois State? This is the 4th time these two teams have matched up in the semifinals. In the last 6 years, Wichita State has won 2 of the previous 3 matchups, including the 2 matchups by a difference of 14 points this season. It's the Birds and the Shockers. Standing by, the voice of the Valley, John Rooney, Mark Adams. They bring you Arch Madness when we come back right after this.
From St. Louis, Missouri, under the arch, Arch Madness continues with all the great plays and highlights as we have semifinal Saturday. Illinois State against Wichita State. Along with Mark Adams, I'm John Rooney, and the newcomer of the year in the conference, Devon Akun-Purcell. He's no newcomer anymore, Mark.
Devon Akun-Purcell has been arguably the hottest player in the Missouri Valley Conference over the last many games. He has been on fire the last 4 games, over 17 points per game, over 6 rebounds per game. And this guy at 6'5" can see over defenders and knock down the 3 ball at 39%. What does he face today? The best point guard in the country. If I'm drafting a team out of college right now, I want Fred VanVleet to be my point guard. He averages over 5 assists per game. And why is he so deft at getting it up to teammates? Because of guys like Ron Baker, who shoot 41% from 3. That is one of the most dynamic duos in America. Fred VanVleet, Ron Baker take on the Illinois State Redbirds right now in the semifinals of the Valley Championship Tournament.
And here are the lineups. A presentation of Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. We're talking about Fred VanVleet and Ron Carter. Don't forget about the Defensive Player of the Year, Wichita State's Takale Cotton. He plays lockdown defense, but he can do that and a whole lot more. And on the other side, Deontay Hawkins, he's starting for the 7th time in the last 8 games. Devon Akun-Purcell has come on in the starting lineup late, and then there's the best shot blocker in the league, Reggie Lynch, in the middle with a steals man out high in Paris Lee. And their head coach is Dan Muller of Illinois State. Dan has a record of 2 wins, 2 losses as a coach in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament. He's an Illinois State Hall of Famer and helped the Redbirds to 4 straight postseason appearances as a player from 1994 through 1998. And on the other side, it's Greg Marshall. Marshall is in his 8th season with Wichita State, already at 202 victories. Marshall is in his 17th year as a college head coach. He has a record of 11-6 coaching in the Valley Tournament and 4 straight victories. The reigning National Coach of the Year, Greg Marshall. And our series history, a presentation of Coventry Healthcare and Aetna Company. Visit CoventryHealthcare.com for more information. Health, wellness, Coventry Healthcare. The Shockers have won 7 in a row in this series, taking 13 of the last 14 meetings, and this is their 4th get-together in the Arch Madness semifinals. And our keys to the game from Mark Adams, made possible by Frontier Communications, your best choice for phone, TV, and high-speed internet.
Pretty easy for Illinois State. Continue to ride Devon Akun-Purcell, who's got a little Akuna Matata in his game. He's got a little bit of George Gervin in his game as well. And for Wichita State, be selfless. They average 1.5 assists per turnovers. 4 out of their top 6 players have a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. They're the only team in the country that can boast that. And be selfish defensively. John, this is the number 16 defensive team in America. They hold their opponents to 42%. Get ready for some Arch Madness.
Tom Ackerman is joining us sideline today. Let's bring Tom on board before we get to our opening tip.
John, Greg Marshall's team came in here last year highly motivated to win this tournament. Coming off a Final Four season, they hadn't won here in Arch Madness, but they did get that done, and after winning it, they went on and a couple of weeks later lost to Kentucky in this building, ending an unbelievable undefeated season. Fred Van Vliet says, I tend to think about that first memory, standing on the podium after cutting down the nets, rather than that second one. That's what I'd like to remember. Van Vliet says, believe it or not, we feel like we have to prove ourselves all over again. And here they are, ready to go in the semifinals.
We know Tom Ackerman's ready. We know Mark Adams is ready. I'm ready. How about you fans? We're set for the opening tip. It's Lynch and Carter in the middle. John Higgins will give it a toss. Bert Smith and Jerry Pollard are the other 2 officials. And here we go, 20 minutes on the board. Game 1 of semifinal Saturday. And number 3 is Deshaun Knight. Wichita State won both meetings during the regular season.
Focus on that matchup. Devon Akun-Purcell versus Takale Cotton. 32 in white versus 44 in red.
We didn't talk much about Darius Carter in the open because of the outstanding play by Van Vliet, Baker, and Cotton, but Carter is nothing to sneeze at.
When these 4 teams have such tremendous players, all 4 teams in the semifinals have combined for 95 wins, John.
There is Akun-Purcell scoring, just as you drew it up in the open, Mark.
He's just so good off the bounce. He's draining the 3-ball. He's the hottest player right now and the most feared offensive weapon in the Valley.
Darius Carter in on Lynch, and Lynch fouled him. They're going to go right to Lynch, and that's been a problem for him. The foul trouble during his career at Illinois State.
In the loss at Wichita State, not only did Reggie Lynch get into some foul trouble, but he also hurt his back, re-injured his back, I should say. And they had Wichita State within range to win that game. They couldn't close it out without him.
How about Baker? Just like he did a couple of years ago when he was coming back from injury and in the tournament against Drake, he really turned it on, and we've been watching his play. Great play at that ever since. 41%
from behind the arc for Ron Baker, and he does seem to step it up when he gets inside this building.
Here's Deshaun Knight. Baker is all over him. Knight needs help. Wow, that was so close to a 5-second call. 15 on the shot clock for the Redbirds. Here's Akun-Purcell. He uses up the dribble. Lynch inside, and he can't get the roll. And a block with Darius Carter going up with Akun-Purcell. Carter fouled him. It's physical inside, and the intensity at a very high level right from the opening tip.
And Devon Akun-Purcell is coming in with an agenda. He scored on his first possession, then went to the offensive glass work. You know, a lot of announcers say he scores in a variety of ways. This kid right here, you got to guard him every second of every possession.
And when the ball goes up, you better block out, because he's going to find a way to get to the basketball.
He's 6'5", and he's rangy, and he's slithery around the basket.
Well, that's a great way to describe it, Mark. 4 points for Devon Akun-Purcell. Devon Akun-Purcell 4, Ron Baker 3. That's our score right out of the gate. Fred Van Vliet. Baker out high. 32 to Cale Cotton. Van Vliet beating low. Carter, he's just going to bring it back out.
I like the ball movement. I like the motion. That's good offense.
And look at Baker, just a little short that time on the fadeaway. But he doesn't need much space at all to get a shot away, Mark. Paris Lee. Deshaun Knight over Baker. Count it.
Deshaun Knight, the leading scorer for Illinois State. As good as Akun Purcell as Deshaun Knight gives him a really good complementary player. I would have had to flip-flop that back in December, but I think he's the second scoring option now.
Here's Van Vliet. That's a 2. Van Vliet averages 12.5 a game. But for the month of February, he stepped it up a little bit, averaging 14.4 a game. Illinois State with the lead and the ball, adding to the lead as Knight has 4.
Boy, that is way too easy. Wichita State's defense completely broke down as Deshaun Knight probed it and exposed it.
And Coach Marshall gets Shaquille Morris up off the bench to send him in. Cotton for Carter. Here's Wessel. A 3-ball. Evan Wessel's first field goal. And he shoots 34% from behind the arc.
Yeah, if Evan Wessel makes shots, Wichita State becomes really, really hard to beat. And he's been making shots over the last second part of the season.
Here's Deshaun Knight. In on Baker, and he's short. And the ball is tied up and belongs to Wichita State on the possession arrow.
Deshaun Knight takes the ball all the way to the basket without any help defensively. And on the offensive end, the winningest player in America over the last 15 years by percentage, Wessel is a winner.
Evan Wessel averaging 4.3 a game, but he plays good defense. And when the ball goes to the floor, he's going to be one of the guys after it.
He's one of the best guys at going and getting loose balls below his shoulders in the country. He just goes and gets them.
Off the glass, Shaquille Morris. He's just getting better and better and better for Greg Marshall. Wichita State by 2.
Well, Darius Carter has had a great year for Wichita State, but I think Shaq Morris has a bigger upside. That kid is a big-bodied, tough dude, willing to go to get the dirty rebounds, and his low post game is solid as well. He's going to be very, very good. The freshman, number 24 in white.
How about Lee? Faked the pass outside and just took the bank shot from about 5 feet out.
So if you're Wichita State, you've got to be concerned about the Redbirds' ability to probe and get into gaps of your man-to-man defense. We've seen it happen twice now in the early going.
A lot of banging low between Morris and Jones. John Jones, number 10 for the Redbirds. Here's Baker. How smooth is Ron Baker? Give him 5 in the first half.
Ron Baker at 6'4" was matched up with Deshaun Knight at 6'1". They inverted their offense. That is just smart, tactical weapon with Ron Baker down low.
You talk about Devon Akun-Purcell being on a mission. So's Baker the way he's starting out today. Here's Purcell. Count it!
Takale Cotton did everything right. Everything right. He kept Akun-Purcell in front. He challenged a shot. That was just a great offensive play by a very talented young man.
And Akun-Purcell has 6 so far in the first half.
Illinois State goes zone now.
Wessel motioning for a little help from Fred Van Vliet. 14 on the shot clock for the Shockers.
With 20 seconds went off the shot clock before Wichita State could adjust offensively.
Oh, a little shove by Van Vliet. And there was Ron Baker underneath.
If you want to watch 2 of the best offensive weapons in the Valley, welcome to this afternoon in the semifinals. Devon Akun-Purcell and Ron Baker invert off the glass. Nicely done.
We're just getting started here. Semifinal Saturday, and right out of the gate, it's a 12-12 game for Illinois State and Wichita State. Along with Mark Adams, I'm John Rooney, and we're so glad to have you with us today. The first of 2 great games and so many great matchups to talk about, Mark. But let's begin with Akun Purcell against Cotton.
Yeah, Devon Akun Purcell is a slithery offensive weapon. He can knock down threes and get by you. He's also good on the offensive glass. And so what is the tonic for Wichita State to take Akun Purcell out of this matchup? It's the Defensive Player of the Year and Takale Cotton, number 32 in white. He is a guy that he plays angry, and he plays with tremendous defensive fundamentals. He gets wide in his stance, and he has great defensive patience. He tries to wear down his opponents by continually applying pressure. Watch that matchup, 32 versus 44.
McLeod and McIntosh are in for Illinois State after the timeout. Wichita State now trying to break this 12-12 tie. And for the Shockers, Fred VanVleet. Zone again for Illinois State. Baker with the ball fake.
Look how they cheat the Baker. They want to make sure they get to him for the long-range shot. 41% from 3.
And from the free throw line, there's Morris. He just drops it in. Nice as you please.
That kid just keeps getting better. He did not go with the team to Drake because Greg Marshall wasn't pleased with his effort in practice. Since that day, that kid became a collegiate basketball player. He's done nothing but blossom under the leadership of Greg Marshall.
Kyle McIntosh out for Paris Lee. Jones sets the pick.
Bunch of good heads by Shaq Morris.
And here's the steal. Baker with the dunk. All it took was a little stumble from McLeod.
That started with the hedge from Shaq Morris. That took the offensive route away from Illinois State. Next thing you know, it turns into a layup.
And a 4-point lead for the Shockers.
Look at Cotton. He is in full denial against Akun Purcell. 44 in red versus 32 in white. Full denial. Bad shot.
Bad shot indeed. One and done. Baker ahead to VanVleet. That's the way the Shockers run the floor. And a timeout, Illinois State.
Watch Shaq Morris, number 20. Look at his head right there. And it took away the option. The dribbler picks it up, and now he doesn't have any options. And all of a sudden, the quick hands of Fred VanVleet, and Baker goes down for the dunk. And the defense on Akun Purcell. Takale Cotton, the Defensive Player of the Year, in full front denial. They're trying to cut the head off of this Redbird monster right now. And look at the bad shot and the block off. Takale Cotton has one job, take Akun Purcell out, and that's what he's doing.
And Takale Cotton, a 2-time MVC Defensive Player of the Year. That's why.
Boy, is that good defense. That was textbook by Takale Cotton. He is filling his role to go full denial. Everybody knows Cotton as a defensive weapon, but he also has an over 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. This guy has a really well-rounded game and is completely underrated, and I think should have been first-team all-conference.
The Shockers have scored on 8 of 9 possessions. Illinois State 6 out of 9. There's Akun Purcell. Cotton right there with him.
Look at that footwork.
High arc. And that funneled out. Out of bounds, and Illinois State's basketball. Fred VanVleet volleying for a reverse of that decision. It won't work. Number 23 is Deontay Hawkins. Reggie Lynch and Deshaun Knight. That will trigger the inbounds pass. McIntosh and McLeod complete the 5 on the floor for Illinois State, and there's the pass intercepted by Baker. Baker with the dunk and the anticipation of the pass for McLeod. That's 9 in the first half for Baker.
Wichita State is trying to deliver the roundhouse right now.
And a foul. Fred VanVleet with the shove. That's his first.
Baker chumps the route right there. When you telegraph your passes against this backcourt, who is so adept at understanding their roles and so good defensively in Marshall's scheme, it turns into very easy baskets.
The inbounds pass is not an easy one. Pass for Lynch. Nearly knocked out by Zach Brown. And here come the Shockers with a 20-12 lead. And a foul, a reach-in by McLeod. That was a foul on the drive. First foul on McLeod. The home of a variety of unique cultural and sports attractions, St. Louis offers families on a budget more free attractions than any city outside the nation's capital. Plan your next trip to St. Louis right now by logging on to ExploreSt.Louis.com and find out what's going in St. Louis. What's going day in, day out. They have it for you at ExploreSt.Louis.com.
Wichita State's playing, John, like they have a chip on their shoulder. They came out of the awards feeling like Fred VanVleet didn't get Player of the Year. They're going to use that as a chip on their shoulder. Takeo Cotton didn't get first team all-conference. They're going to use that as a chip on their shoulder. Greg Marshall, the championship coach, didn't get Coach of the Year. They're going to use that as a chip on their shoulder. They are coming out here to make a statement.
Cotton all the way in, dumping it low, and Carter is blocked. They had Lynch in there along with McIntosh.
I think you got to get Reggie Lynch involved. You got to get him a touch in the paint.
He just can't get open to get the ball, Mark.
Darius Carter is just blanketing him.
McIntosh had to alter the shot.
Never bounce pass in the paint. It takes too long to get there.
And a rejection with McIntosh flying through the air. Reggie Lynch with the deflection.
Great job by Lynch. Look at him run the floor.
Here's Knight, and he missed it. Darius Carter with the rebound, and Baker on the run. Kelly flips the ball out for Zach Brown, the freshman from Houston, Texas.
That's a really smart decision to bring it out.
Rashard Kelly out to Takeo Cotton. Baker between midcourt and the top of the circle. Cotton lost the handle on the ball, out of bounds to Illinois State. And 10:54 left in the first half. Wichita State is streaking early. And let's hope that Takeo Cotton will be all right when we come back. Wichita State is on an 8-0 run the last 4 minutes. Ron Baker 4 for 5, 9 points. He has a couple of steals and a 20-12 Shocker lead. Our Missouri Valley Conference standings are a presentation of Purina Dog Chow. Help keep them strong. Dog Chow is strong. The Shockers, the #1 seed in this tournament, after a 17-1 league record, beating Northern Iowa last Saturday, the last day of the season. You and I will play Loyola in our second game today. There's what happened to Takeo Cotton. Ooh. He hit McIntosh's chin and was able to get up, walk over to the bench. As we come back from the timeout, Illinois State's basketball with Wichita State leading by 8. Number 11, Kyle McIntosh. Number 3, Deshaun Knight. Fred VanVleet is watching him. Deontay Hawkins in for Lynch, and a foul on Darius Carter for reaching over Lynch. The second foul on Carter.
I don't see Takeo Cotton on the bench right now as the trainer's coming out right now to talk to Greg Marshall. And of course, Cotton, the defensive player of the year for Wichita State. And Cotton is now back on the bench, came out with the trainer. So it looks like he's ready and cleared to play.
It just had to get the cobwebs out. The lob into Akun Purcell. Here's Lynch. And he had to alter his shot, tried to stay with it. But what a job by Morris to deny the basket on the first shot. And a basket for Knight.
Second chance points, a huge key for Illinois State. They're one of the best offensive rebounding teams in the country. They average over 13 offensive rebounds a game. That's number 20 in America. Watch the Red Swarm go after the offensive board work.
15 on the shot clock for the Shockers. And a kick ball near steal there by Wills. Wills leaves in favor of number 1 Paris Lee.
Look at Illinois State blocks mainly because of Reggie Lynch, but they've also got some other big dudes like Mikhail McIntosh that can also reject shots. Look at the steals, first in the conference. Offensive rebounds first. Third in scoring margin, and third in opponent field goal percentage of 42%. This team is solid.
Baker, good pass. Fade away shot won't go down for Morris. But what a pass by Baker. Here's Paris Lee.
Lynch wants it. They got to get it to him. Then they throw it at his ankle.
No chance to catch it. You're right. Out of bounds. 24 on the shot clock for Illinois State.
I'm not a big bounce pass fan. I mean, I see the word that's needed at times, but I think when you can go a direct avenue pass right at the face of a big guy, that's where you put it. Don't put it down around his toenails.
There's McIntosh, too short off the glass. A volley out of bounds to Wichita State. Greg Marshall talking with Jerry Pollard over there, also talking to Baker and Van Vliet.
Greg Marshall really under the weather. He's on antibiotics right now as he's battling a severe cold, even leading toward a little bit of pneumonia right now. So he's been a little bit under the weather over the last several days.
Baker into the lane, blocked by Reggie Lynch, and Baker just took the game right to Lynch. 2 fouls on the Illinois State 6'10" sophomore.
I've seen Ron Baker elevate his game over the last 3 weeks of this season. He's always been really good, but he's more aggressive now offensively. I saw it against Northern Iowa in the roundhouse last week. He's hunting his shots more. He's more aggressive. He's becoming a bigger offensive weapon for Wichita State.
The inbounds pass for Baker. Here comes Zach Brown charging and scoring. Boy, did he accelerate to the basket.
He gave Greg Marshall quality minutes against Northern Iowa. He's a kid that's starting to become a reliable force coming off the bench for Wichita State. Look at that defense right there against Akun Purcell.
That rims out for Akun Purcell. Here's Baker. Morris plants the pivot foot, and Van Vliet. Baker hounded by Paris Lee.
Just watch Baker move without the ball. 31 and wide. Watch how he probes the defense. See, the guy gets in the dead spot right there. He's always dragging a defender with him. Then he sets a screen.
Van Vliet, short. But rebounded by Zach Brown.
I love that kid.
Brown goes low to the baseline for Morris, and the pass is too tall for Baker.
You love a guy that knows his role to bring energy off the bench, and Zach Brown is one of those guys that just continues to get better, taking it strong with the right hand, going right at the shot blocker and taking it off the glass. That's a freshman with a big, big upside. Good to see Cotton back in the game.
Kyle McIntosh to inbound. Akun Purcell. And he'll let Paris Lee handle the basketball.
Akun Purcell has really struggled to score here over the last 5 minutes. Credit Wichita State's defense.
Baker bumped Knight. We have a held ball here. There was no foul called, and the possession gives the ball to Illinois State. Missouri, enjoy the show. Order your free travel guide. Start planning your next getaway at visitmo.com. That's visitmo.com. The inbounds passes have been tough to execute.
Cotton
just like that one. Van Vliet is able to catch up to the ball. And the Shockers set up their offense.
How good is Takale Cotton defensively? He gets a held ball, then a deflected ball for a steal.
Then he'll go to the other end of the floor and beat you some way there. There's Cotton. 10 on the shot clock. A lob low for a Wessel. That's intercepted by John Jones.
Good read by Jones.
Akun Purcell for 3, and that's off.
He's settling for jump shots.
Not as aggressive as he was in the first part of the game, and DeKale Cotton has everything to do with that.
Remember how he scored early? Off the bounce. Taking hard off the bounce.
Van Vliet. Morris. And there's John Jones. Ferris Lee for Illinois State. Stopping. Popping. Jones follows but couldn't close it. Morris is giving Greg Marshall some big minutes here in the first half. Productive minutes.
That's because he's turning into as good a big guy as he has. He walked.
He just walked there. Little indecision, and he took the extra step. And as we go to break, there's Ron Baker. Offense, defense, leading to more offense. Baker has 9 in Wichita State's 22-14 lead. Junior Ron Baker scored 9 and Wichita State leads 22-14 as we move along in the first half. Today's Subway MVC Scholar Athlete of the game is Wichita State's Evan Wessel. A junior from Wichita, Kansas, Wessel averages 4 points, 3 rebounds a game during the 2014-15 season. One of the guys who has been glue on this team for Greg Marshall. A 2014 second-team All-MVC Scholar Athlete choice, Wessel, a 3.28 grade point average in management, has qualified for the athletic director's honor roll in every semester at Wichita State.
Evan Wessel is a winner for a reason. The winningest player by percentage over the last 15 years in college basketball. His father, Todd, played football at Wichita State. His grandfather, Everett Wessel, played basketball for the Shockers from 1956 to 59. In his immediate family, there are 6 basketball and 2 football state titles. And he was recruited for football by Kansas. I can tell you right now, his football winning percentage at Kansas might be losing 96%, not winning 96%. Just a thought.
Illinois State has scored once in the last 12 possessions, trailing 22-14. Hawkins low and a nice catch by Jones. Jones with a pivot, the shot, and a rebound for Wamakota. Bush Wamakota in, a 6'11 junior from Kenya. Wamakota sets the pick for Baker.
So Illinois State, with the exception of the first few possessions of the game, has decided to go with this 2-3 zone to slow down this Wichita State Shocker offensive attack.
Near steal by Ferris Lee. Here's Cotton for Baker, who's open, but off this time. Fred Van Vliet lost it, and a foul. That's on Ferris Lee, Lee's first foul.
One of the most underrated aspects of Fred Van Vliet's game is his ability at 6 feet to go get a rebound like that. He averages almost 4.5 rebounds per game at the point guard position.
Van Vliet into Baker. Under 5.5 to go in the first half. The lob and the dunk for Cotton.
Called by Greg Marshall from the sideline and perfectly executed.
24-14 Wichita State. The Shockers up to their biggest lead. Out of bounds, and it goes the other way.
Greg Marshall calls it against Sun. Watch the screen right there as DeKale Cotton goes up, and a beautifully executed backdoor lob play by Wichita State. And that was a big-time screen by Bush Wamakota, who comes in off the bench, provided energy in the Northern Iowa game. But it's the little things, John. It's that screen that made the play. Not to mention a great pass that was right on the money for some high Cotton.
And you are so right, Mark. That screen was big on that replay. That was the play that set it up for the touchdown pass. Stay tuned for our halftime report. That's a presentation of our friends at State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state with State Farm. Scott Warman will have our halftime report. He'll also take care of business between games with you and I in Loyola coming up as our second semifinal game. The championship game will take place here tomorrow at Scott Trade Center on CBS. What a treat to spend some time with the CBS crew last night, and Vern Lundquist.
Yeah, what a
gentleman.
What a class guy. I saw Jim Spinarco as well. We got a chance to visit briefly, so we welcome those guys to the Missouri Valley Conference and the national broadcast of the championship game on CBS.
Van Vliet, he runs the show. Player of the Year in the conference last year. First team All-MVC this year. Seth Tuttle, the Player of the Year, will appear in the second game for UNI. And that is out of bounds. Wichita State's ball with 15 on the shot clock. It is a physical first half, and for the most part, John Higgins, Bert Smith, and Jerry Pollard, they're letting them play the physical game. Even though Pollard's talking to them now, this is the way we're going to do business, fellas. Let's go.
Well, these two teams are not fond of each other. Let's not candy coat this thing.
Baker. Wessel. Still in the air. Fred Van Vliet has it for the Shockers.
They are playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're here to send a message.
Cotton. And that's tipped over to Paris Lee. I thought Wamakota was going to get that one for Wichita State.
Another good hedge by Wamakota and great recovery. That big guy is getting better and better, number 21 in white.
And we have a foul. Wamakota is called for the bump. That's his first foul.
Wamakota brings great energy off the bench, and he's a guy that didn't see a lot of time. But Greg Marshall kept bringing his bench along, and you know why? When they lost to Northern Iowa, they realized they had not developed their bench to the depth level of Northern Iowa. And something had to be done, and they are taking full advantage of it now.
Knight with an off-balance shot. Van Vliet running the floor. Baker finishing. I think Fred Van Vliet could close his eyes because he knows where Baker's going to be on the floor every second of the game. McIntosh running in to Evan Wessel, and McIntosh picks up his first foul.
Fred Van Vliet, the best point guard in America. Ron Baker might be the best backcourt in America. 23 and 31, you are...
Mark Adams, those look like the highlights that you're going to see maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now in the real March Madness NCAA tournament. We're seeing that right now at Arch Madness in the Missouri Valley Conference basketball tournament. The intensity, and we see it in the players, the fans, and the semifinals Saturday is one of the best days in sports for any league, especially the Valley, when you get the bands in and all of the schools, the colors, the excitement, and we're off and rolling.
It's my favorite Saturday in college basketball. Arch Madness in St. Louis on a Saturday afternoon. And Wichita State, the number 8 team in the country in the first half, showing exactly why they are number 8. When they lead at half, they are 21 and 0. And they're going to be leading at half in this one, it looks like.
Wichita State shooting 50%, holding Illinois State to 27% from the field. An air ball that time. Reggie Lynch got it, and the Wichita State foul. The foul is on Shaquille Morris. That's his first. 5 team fouls on Wichita State. 16 fouls on Illinois State with 3:34 to go until halftime.
Wichita State going with some full court pressure against this quick and athletic Redbird basketball team.
The inbounds passes have been tough for Illinois State to trigger.
They're very well prepared in getting into passing lanes and anticipating where the offensive players are going. That's just good preparation by Greg Marshall and his staff.
Lynch got a touch and out to Deshaun Knight for a 3.
Check that, Paris Lee.
Paris Lee, excuse me.
The steal guy.
For Lee. Lee with 5 points, and he shoots 38% from behind the arc. Here's steal for McIntosh, knocking that out of bounds.
Paris Lee played very well in Illinois State's home loss. He made some big late game baskets in that game. One of the top steal guys in the country at 2.6 steals per game, number 8 in America. But his offensive game was crisp against Wichita State at home in that loss.
Here's Van Vliet.
A little more activity from that zone. I like it.
All alone, Cotton. And there's Lynch with the outlet for Lee.
Well, what a good outlet.
Akun Purcell back to Lee. Now, Knight.
That's Illinois State offense right there. A little high octane. Devon Akun Purcell made a good decision by giving it up. Get the extra pass, the better shot.
Van Vliet looking in on Paris Lee. At the free throw line, it's Baker. Fading away and hitting. How about that shot?
Right over the best shot blocker in the Missouri Valley Conference and one of the great shot blockers in the country, Reggie Lynch, who's top 20 in that category. Baker didn't back down.
An 8-point lead for Wichita State. And there was a pass low for Lynch, who expected a rebound opportunity. He wasn't expecting the pass.
When Illinois State is in 94-foot attack mode, first of all, what a great outlet pass right there. Devon Akun Purcell makes a really smart decision. Extra pass, better shot, knock it down, Deshaun Knight. That's good Redbird offense from Illinois State.
And Deshaun Knight has scored 9 in the first half. It's Van Vliet all the way in. He created the space, Mark. Let the ball go, then he had contact.
You take it right to the sternum of the shot blocker. When you see the replay, you're going to see that contact right to the sternum of number 22 in red.
And that was textbook. Here's Lee. Low for Lynch. And Lynch scores. He'll go to the line after Morris's second foul.
Watch Fred Van Vliet as he weaves through the defenders. Watch how he turns his body right into the sternum. He just dissects 22. Look at that. He goes right at the body. That's how you go after the shot blocker.
Deshaun Knight goes over to the bench. Justin McLeod back in for Illinois State. And their teammate, Reggie Lynch, a 69% shooter, is on the line for the first time today.
I say if at all possible, a second half adjustment, get Reggie Lynch the basketball. That kid's blossoming every single game. Get him the ball, run your offense through him.
Here's Van Vliet, and he was fouled on the drive. McLeod. That's his second foul for Justin McLeod.
We're taking Reggie Lynch out now to protect him from foul trouble in the last 107 of the half.
And John Jones has given his coach, Dan Muller, some good minutes off the bench, spelling Lynch last night and today.
He's really physical. He's a good defender, isn't he? He doesn't give up space inside.
And that rims out for Van Vliet. One minute to go in the first half. Arch Madness semifinal Saturday. Wichita State leading by 8. Akun Purcell in on Baker, and Baker was able to deny the basket.
Some contact there. They played through.
No good for Takale Cotton. About 5 seconds difference between the game clock and shot clock. Lee holding the ball in midcourt. Just holding the dribble.
They're going to set a high ball screen. Look for Akun Purcell in the right-hand corner. If there's any help off of Cotton, they're going to get it to Akun Purcell. He's going to go right.
Lee goes right. Back to his left, all the way in, and couldn't score. Out of bounds to Illinois State with 6.9 to go until halftime. And that was a good move by Paris Lee.
And
He just didn't get the result.
Deshaun Knight coming back in with 6.9 seconds. Remember, he hit the shot with 2 seconds in overtime to beat Evansville last weekend.
.23. Deontay Hawkins is back in, and that will send McIntosh to the bench. Hawkins, he sets up, and Knight takes the pass. Baker is with him. 4 seconds until halftime. 3. Here's a shot for 2. And we're at the half.
Good defense.
30-22. Wichita State after 20 minutes of play in our first game of the Missouri Valley Conference semifinals here on this Saturday in St. Louis. Arch Madness continues. And now it's time to check in with head coach Greg Marshall of Wichita State for today's St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau's plans for the second half.
All right, John, thanks very much. Coach, you've been able to attack, get into the paint and score. What else is going well for you in this first half?
Our defense is pretty good. Give up 22 points. They couldn't miss. They gave up 12 in the first 4 minutes, but our defense settled in, forced them to take contested shots. They do a lot of one-on-one. They got good one-on-one players, but sometimes that's feast or famine.
Good luck in the second half.
Our chat with the coaches is brought to you by the St. Charles, Missouri Convention and Visitors Bureau. When making your plans to attend the 2015 Missouri Valley Conference Women's Basketball Championship, March 12th through the 15th, go to www.historicstcharles.com or call 800-366-2427. Ron Baker scored 13 first-half points. Fred Van Vliet had 6 and was distributing the ball well. Akun Purcell scored 6 for Illinois State. And we have the halftime report sponsored by State Farm. Coming up with Scott Warman, 30-22 Wichita State at the half.
The 2015 Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Tournament is brought to you by Coventry Healthcare, an Aetna company, the official presenting sponsor for the MVC TV network. By Missouri, enjoy the show. Learn more at visitmo.com. And by Mercy, your life is our life's work. Find your Mercy physician at mercy.net. Tourney top seed in 8th-ranked Wichita State, up by 8 at the break as we welcome you to our halftime report, a presentation at State Farm. For Auto Home Life and Banking, get to a better state, find an agent, or get a quote at statefarm.com. These two teams meeting for the 4th time in the last 6 semifinals here in Arch Madness. And remember yesterday, Wichita State had a game on their hands against Southern Illinois. They amped up the defense as they were down by 4 at the under-16 timeout, ran away with it, sort of kind of against Southern Illinois. Today, tied at 12 after the under-16. Illinois State would only make 1 bucket between the under-16 and the under-4 timeout. Defense again for Wichita State, helping them give this lead at the break after 20 minutes over the Redbirds here in Game 1 of semifinal Saturday. A lot of honor is handed out this week in the Missouri Valley Conference. Let's take a look at the second team all-conference. And the guy in the middle, Takel Cotton, and throw me into the bunch. A lot of people upset that Takel did not make first team all-conference. This young man is special. He's had a special career. Defensive Player of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Gets second team. Anthony Bean, very deserving of Southern Illinois. Of course, 2 other young men we're seeing here, Deshaun Knight and Reggie Lynch, the shot blocking machine for the Redbirds. And Devontae Brown. How about the season Devontae had in his junior year for the Indiana State Sycamores? That's the second team all-conference in the Missouri Valley Conference in 2014-2015. Stick around. We've got more coming up on our State Farm halftime report. Shockers up at the break. Back at the Scott Trade Center as we continue our coverage of Arch Madness 2015. It's our halftime report. It's brought to you by State Farm. For Auto, Home, Life, and Banking, get to a better state. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. There you see 8th-ranked Wichita State up by 8 at the half. And right now it's time for today's Coventry Healthcare first half recap. And how about the first half for Ron Baker from Scott City, Kansas? 6 of 10 from the field. Folks, he's already tied a season-high 5 assists. He has 4 rebounds in the game as he finished the opening half with 13 points, a couple of dunks on the steals and runouts for the Shockers, leading the way with 13. A terrific first half for the junior from Scott City. Ron Baker, part of our first half recap, brought to you by Coventry Healthcare, an Aetna company. Visit coventryhealthcare.com for more information. Health, wellness, Coventry Healthcare. More of our State Farm halftime report from downtown St. Louis when we return. Shockers lead Illinois State at halftime here. And it's brought to you by State Farm on the MVC TV network. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state, find an agent, or get a quote at statefarm.com. Scott Trade Center, downtown St. Louis. Let's take a look at our halftime stats. It's brought to you by Metro Transit in St. Louis. They want to remind you to save money and ride Metro. These two teams at the under-16 timeout were 9 of 12 combined, but boy, Illinois State cooled off 32% from the field. There you see Wichita State has the advantage of rebounds, 20-16. In fact, Wichita State outscoring Illinois State in the paint 20-6. And you see Wichita State, we showed you a couple of Ron Baker highlights on the runouts, 8-0 and fast break points. We get set for the second half. John Rooney, Mark Adams, Tom Ackerman coming your way next.
Arch Madness rolls on from St. Louis, Missouri, and we're at Scott Trade Center. Halftime of our first semifinal game. Wichita State leads Illinois State 30-22. Our halftime report is a presentation of State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. Find an agent or get a quote at statefarm.com. And what a line for Ron Baker in the first half for Wichita State. 13 points and 4 rebounds. Coming up, we're going to be hearing from the head coach of the Illinois State Redbirds, Dan Muller, as they check in with our St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau plans for the second half with Tom Ackerman.
All right, John, thanks very much. Coach, how do you get this game going in your favor?
Well, they're really good. You know, their defensive intensity and our turnovers led to breakout baskets. I think we're guarding them in the half court. We're struggling on the offensive end because of their defensive intensity, but we got to have some guys step and make some plays.
Good luck. Thank you.
Thanks.
And our chat with the coaches is brought to you by the St. Charles, Missouri Convention and Visitors Bureau. We're making plans to attend the 2015 Missouri Valley Conference Women's Basketball Championship, March 12th to the 15th. Go to www.historicstcharles.com or call 800-366-2427. And with Wichita State leading Illinois State at the half, I'm John Rooney alongside Mark Adams. And Mark, I was talking about Ron Baker and what a line he put together. But Baker, Van Vliet, that's where it starts for the Shockers.
It really is. That's a dynamic 1-2 punch for one of the best backcourts in America. And how about the defense also of Takale Cotton versus Devon Akun-Purcell? That has been a key factor in the first half. One of the great offensive weapons in the Valley. Look at Cotton. He stays in the stance. He denies. He just shadowed Akun-Purcell everywhere. This is a guy that's been hot over the last 4 games. They average over 16 points a game. And he blocks off. He takes away the manufactured point opportunity as well. And that's about as good a defense as you can play. Takale Cotton, the Defensive Player of the Year, for a reason.
Senior out of Marietta, Georgia. Takale Cotton, he had to leave the game for a few minutes, but after some attention in the training room, got back to the bench. He got back in there. And Cotton, he really turned the whole game early, where Akun-Purcell came out with such high intensity, and then he just couldn't get past Cotton.
And you look at the steals rank for Wichita State, you look at the points allowed, but the one stat that impresses me more of Takale Cotton than any other, he's over a 2.1 assist to turnover ratio. It's not just what he does on the defensive end, it's also his selfless play on the offensive end.
You know what, though? You look at many of the members of the Wichita State roster the last 3 seasons, Mark, they're good basketball players.
Yep. In fact, 4 of the top 6 Shockers scorers all have a 2.1 assist to turnover ratio. That's the only team in the country that can say that. 4 out of your top 6 with a 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. Nobody else has that in America.
And check out the stat sheet, though, for Wichita State, as we do when we do our homework for these games. And you see a Greg Marshall team where the points are distributed, where people get assists, the block shots, one thing and another. That is his type of basketball, and their defense leads to a lot of points.
Yeah, it does. And how do you replace Clay Anthony early? By doing that. Taking care of the ball, number 3 in the country. That's not the Missouri Valley rank. That's the rank in the nation. Assist to turnover, 1.54. They're 6th. Rebound percentage. They get 56+% of the rebounds in the game. That's 15th in the country. And their defensive field goal percentage, they hold folks to 42%. That's 16th in the country. That's how you overcome the loss of an NBA player in Clay Anthony Early.
Coventry Healthcare and Aetna Company proudly presents the second half of this Missouri Valley Conference tournament game. The semifinals in St. Louis. There's Takale Cotton. Ron Baker will inbound to start things in the second half. But for Illinois State, Mark, this is a completely different Illinois State team from the one we saw this time a year ago.
And this is a different team than what we saw last night. They've really struggled to get their offense going. They're going to stay with the 2-3 zone. And it works there with Reggie Lynch as the anchor.
The leading shot blocker in the Valley, showing us why.
And I get Reggie Lynch the basketball.
Hawkins, how cool was he from the top of the circle?
He made some big shots last night. Deontay Hawkins, one of those guys that's not afraid to take and make big shots.
And here's Cotton from a double team. He survives that with a pass to Fred VanVleet.
Survives is the right word when you have one of the best steal guys in the country, and Paris Lee, #1 in red all over you. He's #8 in America with 2.6 steals per game.
And that shot drops in for Darius Carter, his first field goal. Wichita State leading 32-25.
Good cut.
Lynch gets it to bounce through.
Good cut and good hands. The more you see that, if you're an Illinois State fan, the better off you're going to be. Run your offense through Reggie Lynch. He's got great hands.
Out to Fred VanVleet with 20 on the shot clock for Wichita State. Baker and VanVleet out front.
They use Baker more as a roamer type of guy offensively in the first half. He was able to get in the dead spots.
Oh, he's right there in the corner. Cotton scores with the offensive rebound and then puts it home.
He slipped the defender right there. The defender was in position to block him off, and he simply kind of ducked his shoulder and went through on the baseline side.
Lynch was blocked by Cotton.
Wow.
That seemed like a sure two, and there's VanVleet. The block leads to a layup.
I like what Illinois State's doing. They're really running Lynch down the floor and looking to get him involved early in the offense.
And he was fouled by Carter. That's Carter's third.
Watch Takale Cotton, #23. Look at it. Just lowers his shoulder right there and slips the defender to go underneath Hawkins to go and get the basketball on the defensive end. The defensive player of the year in the Missouri Valley, Takale Cotton, rejects Reggie Lynch, which leads to easy offense on the opposite end for Fred VanVleet. That entire sequence was because of the senior, Takale Cotton.
Here's Lynch on the line, and he has another one coming. The MVC Fan Hangout is the perfect gathering place before and after games during Arch Madness. Located at Ballpark Village in downtown St. Louis. That's right across the street from Busch Stadium. For additional information, visit archmadness.com/fans.
I got to go down there tonight. Last night of the season
time's
for
running
me,
out.
in the Valley anyway.
6 for Lynch.
I will go down there and check it out. It's a beautiful facility they built down there.
And it will really be humming here in about a month.
Yeah, I heard there's a baseball team in this town.
They're busy year-round. And on the steal, Lee. 36-29, Wichita State. Illinois State trying to make a dent in this game here.
Good luck.
Here's Lynch. He was short trying to get the shot past Shaquille Morris. Baker. The one-hander won't go.
Lynch made him change the shot.
Here's Akun Purcell weaving through traffic. A shot for three. Deshaun Knight has 12.
Dan Muller challenged his team to go higher octane in the second half. Play 94-foot basketball. It's been effective for Illinois State.
And we have a 4-point ball game. Wichita State had a 12-point lead at 4:03 left in the half. And that lob above the rim for Shaq Morris ends up in the hands of Illinois State with Deshaun Knight in the front court. Knight stops and pops. Count it! Knight with 14. That's his average, 14 a game.
Illinois State just so much more aggressive in their early offense. I love the adjustment.
That's what we saw in the early going after the opening tip-off. But Cotton had a lot to do with quieting that. Cotton's miss.
Go.
And there's Akun Purcell. 7-0 run for the Redbirds. A chance to tie or take the lead here. It won't go, but inside, Reggie Lynch hits the floor hard. A physical start, a fast start to the second half. And Illinois State is back in this one as the Redbirds run, gun, they're down by 2. Illinois State is closing in on Wichita State here in the semifinals of the Missouri Valley Men's Basketball Tournament. And today's Missouri Valley Conference Arch Madness brackets, a presentation of Casey's General Store. Casey's, famous for pizza. Southern Illinois won, lost then to Wichita State yesterday. Illinois State won over Evansville. UNI beat Bradley. Indiana State lost big to Loyola. Loyola and UNI coming up after this game, about a half hour after the final horn of our contest today. As far as consecutive titles won in the Missouri Valley, SIU's on top there with 93, 94, 95 at 3.
Northern Iowa, that 2009 and then 2010 team, of course, the 2010 champions went on to knock off #1 Kansas in the NCAA tournament. Dan Muller's won his own Missouri Valley Conference titles as a player for Illinois State. He was a 2-time academic All-American.
Here's Knight off the glass. Boy, he was hanging and then shot it. 16 for Deshaun Knight in a tie game, erasing Wichita State's 12-point lead. The Shockers had that at 4:03 to go in the first half.
Dan Muller came out with a very simple game strategy. Number 1, attack. Number 2, attack. And number 3, attack. And that's exactly what they're doing.
Morris with the offensive rebound. Here's Van Vliet after missing his last shot, and he was fouled as he tried to sidestep one of the Redbirds.
Dan Muller wants him to go to the monitor to check for an elbow to Devon Akun-Purcell's mouth.
Second personal foul on Akun-Purcell as the officials go over to indeed check out the replay.
There's no question there was some contact there, and Muller right away bounced up. Watch Van Vliet come through. He's going to catch him with an elbow. Right there as he comes up. That looks like a basketball play, though.
The ball took a high bounce. Van Vliet reaching for it. Caught Akun-Purcell with the elbow. And we'll see what the officials determine as they look at the same thing you just saw. They'll look at it another time or two, and we'll get their verdict. 15-17 to go in the second half. 36 all. And at one point in the first half, Mark, it looked like it was one of those games where Wichita State was going to take that tear and just rip the seam wide open in this ball game.
You know, I see that as a basketball play, but it's like flip a coin for me. I got to tell you. It's frustrating for me to watch it. I just think that when you legislate common sense out of the game of basketball, so he's putting the ball down. He's coming through with the lead right there. That's where he catches him.
But the officials were looking at the play where Van Vliet made his initial move and the elbow came up and caught Akun-Purcell. And they're going to study it another time or two. Look at it back and forth on the slow motion replay.
Yeah, I'm watching on our ISO monitor right now. Same thing that the officials are watching. And his right elbow comes through on the initial bounce of the basketball with his left hand. So he kind of clears out with that elbow.
John Higgins and Jerry Pollard over there give it a good look time and time again.
Here we go.
Here's
Here we
what
go.
they're
See
seeing.
that right elbow right there? He's leading with that. But, you know, I teach every kid that learns how to dribble how to protect the basketball. Now, you know, you don't necessarily want to elbow a guy, but you're going to have that forearm out to protect the ball.
And did he get him again when he reached for the ball, Mark? Did he get him with that first one and then reaching for the high bounce? I think they made contact again.
I thought it was a basketball play. That's my opinion.
And that's the official's opinion as John Higgins talks with Dan Muller now. Muller doesn't see it that way. Wichita State's ball from under the basket with 15-17 to go in the second half. So we play on.
Yep.
Cotton with the ball against the Illinois State zone. Baker, and there's a foul on the screen. Wessel is called for the personal foul as first. Illinois State's last lead was 8-5 with 17:30 to go in the first half.
Well, full court pressure here from Wichita State. Man, Illinois State catches it in the worst possible position. They get out of jail.
Oh, how about that move by Kuhn Purcell? Lobbing it for the dunk by Lynch. And Kuhn Purcell made that happen. My goodness, what an athletic move.
Greg Marshall talking to the official. He thought Kuhn Purcell might have been a little bit too much exuberance in front of the Wichita State bench. What
Illinois State leading by 2 with the ball. And right now the Redbirds are feeling it.
They're just attacking.
Knight saved by Kuhn Purcell off of Kuhn Purcell's hand, out of bounds. But they call it off Cotton's hand. And it's Illinois State's ball.
So Illinois State is in trap. And they are in a bad way until they give it to this guy. Devon Kuhn Purcell somehow gets it through the Defensive Player of the Year and Fred VanVleet, and then throws perfect on the dime to Reggie Lynch. That is big time.
McIntosh, and there was contact. The foul against Wichita State. Evan Wessel's second foul.
When Wichita State delivered the roundhouse punch in the first half in Illinois State, they went to the ropes at halftime, they recovered, and they are in attack mode.
Wessel goes out. Two team fouls on Wichita State.
3 guys go down.
How about that? What a train wreck in the lane.
Cotton's okay. I don't know about Baker.
Greg Marshall off the bench on his way over to the baseline.
This is Star Wars right here. Lynch slips the screen. See, he slips right there, and Morris overcommits, and 2 guys just go right at him. Man, Baker comes down hard. Look at these 2 guys go. Look at Reggie Lynch. And he basically carried 2 guys to the basket.
And Baker's walking slowly over to the Wichita State bench right now.
Stormtroopers, Star Wars, we got it all here right now in St. Louis, Missouri for the semifinals of the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament, and an opportunity to go to the NCAA Tournament. Number 8, Wichita State in trouble against an attacking, offensive Illinois State Redbird team right now.
And number 1, Zach Brown, replaces Baker, who's favoring his right hip. Lynch on the line. 1 more coming. Lynch is 3 out of 4 from the line, 9 points.
And how big and strong is Reggie Lynch? He just carried Cotton and Baker to the basket.
So by going 1 for 2, the Redbird lead is 3 points.
And now with Baker out of the game, your best 3-point shooter against this zone, not available probably for only a short amount of time. I think he'll be back soon.
VanVleet has the pick set by Morris.
This is typically when VanVleet takes over possessions.
Here's Cotton. He's clean by Paris Lee.
Boy, is he good at that.
My goodness.
One of the nation's best. Number 8 in the country. Nearly 3 steals per game. Number 1 in red, Paris Lee.
Here's Knight. Lee for 3. In and out. Morris tracks it down for Wichita State. VanVleet looking inside for Rashard Kelly. Not there.
I'd set the screen on Lee and attack Deshaun Knight. I don't want to go after him. He's got such quick hands, quick feet. Set the screen to that side. There it is.
Cotton stepping up. Kelly. He'll let it fly. That was blocked by Lynch. Lynch was lobbying to take the ball the other way, but Jerry Pollard had too good a look at that play.
Reggie Lynch will take a blow, but man, is he changing the game defensively, and Baker back in the game. What a tough dude.
That's Lynch's best stretch in the last 2 days. What a surge he gave Illinois State to a 3-point lead. 8 on the shot clock now as Van Vliet will inbound for the Shockers. There's Baker back in after hitting the deck, and he's short. A loose ball, a foul called against Wichita State. Illinois State's basketball.
Man, it is physical. Baker still kind of moving his right elbow up and down. You got to wonder if he got a little stinger, a little funny bone coming down.
While Makota back in with Morris going to the bench for Wichita State. Akun Purcell in the backcourt. He's watched by Zach Brown. 3-point lead for Illinois State. Harris Lee. McIntosh, number 11. Deshaun Knight steps up, shoots for 3, count it. Oh, 2, he was just on the line, a 2.
A mistake on the on-ball defense, the on-ball screen, and Deshaun Knight came up ready to shoot.
And Knight has 18. 41-36, Illinois State.
Baker's going to probe the middle of that defense now. He wants to get something in the dead zone of that zone. There he is.
Knight has been collapsing on him. Here's Van Vliet, high arc, and good! 10 for Fred Van Vliet. Well, he made a big play there.
He always
what he does.
Yep.
Over here to Mark Adams, who made a big play, even though he lost his headset. John Higgins, the referee, checks with Mark. He's okay. He's battle-tested now.
If Ron Baker can get up after Star Wars down here, I sure as heck could take one in the face and still catch it and get back up and play. Let's play basketball, baby.
That is the best play I've ever seen by a basketball analyst in all the years I've been doing college basketball. That should make all the highlight shows on every network.
Yeah, I think SportsCenter top 10, here I come.
Oh, bigger, better than that. McIntosh for Illinois State. Somehow, he keeps the possession alive and misses the shot. And we have a foul on the play. We're going to a break with 11:46 to go. Second half. Illinois State leads 41-38 over Wichita State. Illinois State is thinking upset here, leading Wichita State 41-38 with 11:46 to go in the second half of our semifinal game. Say, Valley fans, do you want to be heard? Now's your chance to get engaged and tell us what you're doing. Enter to win 2016 Arch Madness tickets, MVC merchandise, and other cool prizes by logging on to archmadness.com, then clicking on the fan survey link. Start being heard right now. State, 8 out of 12 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3-point range. He has 18 points. And Illinois State leads 41-38 in the second half.
Illinois State came out with the idea of turning this more into a 94-foot game and venture into their early offense and probe the defense. And Deshaun Knight has done it extremely well here in the second half.
Number 15 in red, Justin McLeod in at the timeout. Akun Purcell has an opening, moves in, draws contact, offensive foul. Akun Purcell. That's his third foul.
Watch Devon Akun Purcell. He jump stops right there. He just jump stops right there. He goes with a more of a 1-2 step, which keeps his momentum moving forward. And Rashard Kelly steps in and takes the charge. But boy, when he gets by you, he's going to make you pay.
Wichita State over the last 10 possessions, 3 turnovers, 1 field goal. 0 for 3 from 3-point range, but 1 for 5 overall. The last 10 possessions.
Dan Muller's going to watch this carefully as Akun Purcell goes to the bench with 3 fouls. Deshaun Knight also to the bench right now.
Well, here's where the Redbirds need Deontay Hawkins to step up. Backdoor touchdown. The alley-oop. Darius Carter has 4. Wichita State runs out as well as anybody.
Yeah, and Reggie Lynch just stood and observed.
My old friend, the late Ernie Harwell, would say he stood there like the house along the side of the road and watched it go by.
Wichita State
zoning.
Now goes 2-3 zone.
McLeod with a ball fake. Lee will take the 3. McLeod gets the rebound. Fred Van Vliet almost forced a double dribble.
I like Justin McLeod. He comes off the bench. He gives you energy. He'll go get that offensive rebound. He's a lot like Evan Wessel. Guy that just goes and makes plays for you to win.
That's a great comparison. Shot for 3.
Love that kid.
For McLeod, right on cue.
Absolutely love the way that kid comes in, ready to play. Number 15 in red, Justin McLeod.
44-40 Illinois State. Here's Cotton. Van Vliet. Van Vliet for Baker. Cotton
Good ball
for
movement.
3. Count that.
Nice. Baker in the middle of that zone is a stroke of genius. He's really good in there.
10 minutes to go in the second half. 44-43. Illinois State with the lead in the ball.
And Wichita State going to stay with the zone for at least another possession.
Here's Lynch with the turnaround. It goes, and he'll go to the line. 11 for Reggie Lynch.
The backdoor lob. Look at Lynch. He doesn't see. He doesn't have vision. He's ball-centric. He looks away. And Darius Carter wide open. And Justin McLeod, you talk about a guy that understands how to get things done. He had just gotten an offensive rebound, and then he gets the 3 ball. And look at Ron Baker as he gets in the middle of that zone, in the heart of it, gets to the dead spaces with the extra pass. How about Reggie Lynch right here? And look at all the white jerseys that surround him. You're in 2-3 zone. He catches it in the gut of the defense, and no one drops.
And Darius Carter, you saw his dunk a moment ago, but he committed his 4th foul, putting Lynch on the line here. And Lynch missed on the 3-point play opportunity. 11 points for Reggie Lynch. And a 3-point Illinois State lead. Cotton, Baker, Van Vliet. They're on the perimeter, and we have a foul inside. The foul is called against Deontay Hawkins. First foul on Hawkins. And team foul number 3 on Illinois State in the second half with 9:28 to play.
Well, how important has Justin McLeod been? He's 3 for 4 from behind the arc during the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. That is production coming off the bench.
Van Vliet at the point. Cotton for 3. Too strong. Mikhail McIntosh inside Ron Baker for the rebound.
You know, Illinois State early in the year, they won big and they lost close. Until last week when they won the overtime game, Deshaun Knight hit a big shot to win a close game. Deshaun Knight called with turning the ball over.
Couldn't they call that on every point guard in the country? To me, that's a call I don't like, Mark. That's the way guards handle the ball these days.
Yeah, it depends on how much underneath he got the ball with his hand.
And I'll give Jerry Pollard credit. He's a lot closer to it than I am. But that's a call I haven't cared to see because so many do it.
But Deshaun Knight hit that big shot in overtime to beat Evansville. And then last night we saw them close out a very close game against the Aces as well. Illinois State has really improved with their selflessness and also their willingness to execute offensively in late game situations.
Boy, a lot of contact in the lane. Cotton knifing through, and he is fouled. He just took the game right to the Redbirds. And Hawkins commits his second foul. He's picked up a couple of quick fouls since coming off the bench. Ferris Lee will check back in here for the Redbirds. He'll be back in a moment. Cotton to the free throw line. Cotton shoots 70% from the line. Akun Purcell and Lee back in. McLeod goes over to the bench along with Deontay Hawkins. 8:33 left in the second half. Illinois State by 3. By 2.
Full court pressure. Remember the last time they got trapped in the corner.
Lee with the hook pass. Lee comes into the front court, taking the pass from Knight.
Wichita State back to man-to-man.
Wessel is with McIntosh. Here's Jones on the turnaround, and he got the bounce. Wow, was that a strong move.
Quick move, too.
48-44, Illinois State. Leading number 8, Wichita State here at Arch Madness.
Boy, Illinois State just showing so much poise. We couldn't say that earlier in the season, but they've really grown and learned. This is a team that doesn't have a ton of experience, but they've gained it throughout the season.
Van Vliet, short, and there's Lee. Sealing off inside, Evan Wessel. 7.5 to go in the second half. Knight from downtown, way short. That ball hit the line. Let's take a look at a basket by John Jones as we go to break. Quickness, strength, 2 points for the Redbirds who lead Wichita State. We have a game here in the semifinals of Arch Madness with Illinois State leading by 4 over number 8 Wichita State. 7:27 to go in the second half. Around these parts, they're getting excited about the St. Louis Cardinals 2015 season. That's just around the corner. 10 and 5 game packs, all-inclusive tickets, and individual game tickets are on sale right now. Get yours at cardinals.com. Cardinal fans throughout the arena here at Scott Trade Center. See the Redbird caps, the jerseys. And there's a big Redbird from, is that Adam Wainwright, number 50? No, that's the Redbirds, not the Cardinals.
It's Reggie. Reggie Redbird. He follows me on Twitter. I follow Reggie too, which says a lot about my life right now.
You mascot groupie, you.
Wushak as well. Wushak and I are also very tight.
I knew you were real close.
Yep.
Here we go. Wichita State trying to trim the 4-point lead. Van Vliet looking in on Deshaun Knight.
They look for that backdoor lob again. It wasn't there this time. Watch Baker, 31. He's the guy that gets into open spaces. There he goes, circling in.
Cotton, 10 on the shot clock. Ball fake by Van Vliet. He couldn't score it, couldn't get the bounce. Active hands. Van Vliet has the ball for Wichita State. But they just keep moving, keep grinding.
Well, Van Vliet was the guy that just kept that ball alive, kept tipped it.
Cotton's open in the middle. Score it to Cale Cotton. Double figures with 10.
Wichita State in full court pressure mode now. Here we go.
6.5 minutes to play. Akun Purcell.
Better look at jumping. There it is.
And it's stolen by Van Vliet. Oh, foul. Van Vliet's call for the foul is second. And Greg Marshall can't believe it.
That was a classic run and jump. As soon as Akun Purcell, watch when he turns his back. Van Vliet jumps him right there. That's run and jump right there. Van Vliet gets the ball and comes through, and the official makes the call.
17 fouls on Wichita State. Devon Akun Purcell with another free throw coming. He's 3 for 3 from the line, 7 points, averaging 13 a game, coming off a 13-point game last night.
Greg Marshall just walks away, was pleading his case over the last minute.
8 points for Akun Purcell, a 4-point Illinois State lead. And that was a big call a moment ago. And really a 4-point swing.
Watch Baker.
Too hard off the glass for the big guy, Shaquille Morris. Illinois State foul. Clearing out on the missed shot.
Baker had 13 points at the half. He still has 13 points. And against that zone, I think they got to give him a little bit of time to get to the open spaces and make plays. Even if it's off the pass, that's fine. Give him a touch.
Van Vliet from the three-point line. 13 for Fred Van Vliet. The foul a moment ago was on Reggie Lynch, his third. And Lynch is still in there. Under 6 to go. A 1-point Illinois State lead after the three ball by Van Vliet. Deshaun Knight all the way in. Oh, is he quick to the basket. 20 for Knight. Good night.
Man, that is tough. He just lowered his shoulder and exploded by one of the best defensive teams in the country.
Against the zone. Cotton.
This is a high-level game here, John. Welcome to the Valley on semifinal Saturday.
Good catch by Morris. Feeding Van Vliet. Morris with the assist. Van Vliet has 15. That's a page right out of Van Vliet's book, that pass.
He looked like Seth Tuttle right there.
We're going to see that in the second game, Loyola and UNI, coming up later. Out of bounds, off Baker. Baker thought he got Knight to put his fingertips on it, and he couldn't sell it to Jerry Pollard.
He sold it hard, though.
He did.
He sold it angry.
Well, that's what Greg Marshall wants. That's what he demands.
Ron Baker says even when he's nice, he plays angry.
All by design. Lee picks up the dribble. Akun Purcell. Lee, they play catch. 14 on the shot clock.
Well, this is the guy that Illinois State's been going to. Deshaun Knight matched up with Ron Baker.
Cotton tips it in the air, and it's out of bounds off Akun Purcell. It doesn't take much, Mark, for Wichita State to force the turnover. The offense may be perking along, and all of a sudden a deflection, and the ball goes the other way.
Especially when you have Takale Cotton as the Defensive Player of the Year.
Wichita State trying to regain the lead. Cotton is blocked by Lynch. 22 on the shot clock for Wichita State.
That's a big-time block. Earlier in the season, Reggie Lynch would have saddled up and fouled. That time he got separation. Watch the separation of Reggie Lynch to Takale Cotton. He comes in and he backs off of him. Goes straight up right there, completely vertical.
Here's a shot by Darius Carter, putting Wichita State back in front. That delights this big shocker attendance. This big crowd from Wichita State, and a foul on Cotton. 1-1 here for Illinois State. Oh, excuse me, Ron Baker. That's his second foul.
Wichita State starting to turn up the defensive pressure, and Paris Lee loses his balance. It goes down, and the whistle comes.
And that was a trip up by Ron Baker, his second foul. 1-1 for Lee, a 69% shooter from the line. This one's in play at 4:02 to go in the second half. Tied up, Wichita State and Illinois State. 3 assists to go along with 6 points today. For Paris Lee, give him 7 and a Redbird lead.
We already know there's going to be 2 bids in the Missouri Valley Conference and probably a 3, 4, or 5 seed for Wichita State and Northern Iowa. Could there be a 3rd bid? That's what this is about.
Cotton, Van Vliet from downtown. How about Carter with the rebound and the putback? Give him 8, all in the second half.
It is Saturday. It is St. Louis. It is the Missouri Valley semifinals. Who wants it? Darius Carter wants it bad.
Semifinal Saturday, Wichita State by 1. Reggie Lynch committed the foul. I misspoke earlier. He has 3 fouls now. They've adjusted it to 2 fouls for Mikal McIntosh. They gave one to Reggie by mistake earlier, so 3 fouls for Lynch. And Wichita State will be on the line with a 1-point lead and 3:39 to go in the second half. 43.5% shooting from the field for the game for Illinois State, shooting 61% from the field in the second half.
And as we head to crunch time, Illinois State has won their last 2 close games. And Wichita State has the best closer, the Aroldis Chapman of college basketball, in Fred VanVleet. He's closed out so many games. That's why he's the winningest junior in college basketball right now. And so it's a team that just learned how to win close games versus a true closer in Fred VanVleet in the last 3:39 of this game.
You would have been better off going with Mariano Rivera. Anyway, it's Illinois State's ball with a 2-point lead for Wichita State.
I apologize to the voice of the St. Louis Cardinals.
You notice I wasn't partial. I could have said Rosenthal, but I didn't.
But the point was good.
Could have gone back to Bruce Sutter.
The point was good.
Okay, it was a good point. Closer was the right analogy. I'm with you. Akun Purcell. Lynch lost a handle on it. Saved by Akun Purcell. There was contact. No foul. Yes, a foul. Looking for something new to do during your next trip to St. Louis? The beautiful Grand Hall at St. Louis Union Station comes to life with a spectacular indoor light show every night. Enjoy cocktails and small plates along with the 3D panoramic show from 5 to 10 p.m. at Union Station. Visit grandhall-stl.com for more details. Nine points for Akun Purcell. 10 for Akun Purcell. We're tied at 56 in St. Louis, coming down to 3 minutes left in the game.
Illinois State now goes 1-3-1 zone, a little bit of a different wrinkle, still a zone look, but the 1-3-1 with Paris Lee, the steel man up top.
Cotton muscling in for a basket. McIntosh hit the floor, but Cotton scores and giving him 12. Lee looking to the bench, and Dan Muller. Two and a half minutes to go in this semifinal game, Mark.
And Wichita State now goes 2-3 zone. Chess match between coaches.
A 3 for number 3, Deshaun Knight. He has 23, and Illinois State goes back in front.
And Illinois State back to 2-3 zone now.
Baker with the ball fake.
Boy, Paris Lee really cheating toward Ron Baker. Look at it.
Oh, inside. The shot was open, but wouldn't go down for Carter. Illinois State with a 1-point lead on the ball. Inside 2 minutes to go. Here's McIntosh. Contact is made, and McIntosh will get to the line.
Watch Takale Cotton right here. Just watch the strength as he just goes through the defender and up off the glass. And sometimes you don't need to run offense. Sometimes you just need to get it to your best long bomber. And Deshaun Knight, cold-blooded.
One more for McIntosh. That's his first point. He had 1 point in the game last night. He fouled out after playing 12 minutes against Evansville. The foul, by the way, on Shaquille Morris, his 4th. The lead is 3 for Illinois State.
A team that's learning how to win close games, Illinois State, versus the best closing team in the country, the winningest program in America over the last 5+ seasons, number 8, Wichita State. Can they close this one out against this young and learning Illinois State Redbird team?
Baker with the miss on the 3 try. Darius Carter out to Van Vliet. Here's Carter trying to create, and he'll go to the line with Lynch, picking up foul number 4.
Well, that's smart to pound it inside. And Darius Carter made a good aggressive move with that left hand. Darius Carter, that offensive rebound and then that attack of the hoop right there, those are huge plays from Darius Carter.
One more coming up here for Carter. Let's take a look at our game reset, a presentation of the Missouri Division of Tourism. Start planning your next getaway at visitmo.com. Illinois State with 6 fouls. The next one puts Wichita State in the 1-1. We have a timeout. 1:19 left in the game, and a game it is with Illinois State up 61-58 in St. Louis. Wichita State beat Illinois State both games in the regular season, but the Redbirds are thinking upset here today in the semifinals of the MVC tournament. Today's date in MVC history is brought to you by the 2015 MVC Women's Basketball Tournament coming up at Family Arena in St. Charles, Missouri. March 7, 2009, Champo Gucci hit 6 of 8 three-point attempts. Illinois State connected on 13 of 19 behind the arc as the Redbirds scorched Creighton 73-49 in the semifinals of the MVC tournament here at Scott Trade Center. Make plans to attend the league's women's basketball tournament in St. Charles, March 12th to the 15th. For more info, visit MVCStCharles.com.
If this upset happens, the guy who has led them right now to the threshold is Deshaun Knight. He's 6 for 7 in the second half, 14 points. And oh, by the way, Dan Muller is 0-7 versus the Shockers as a head coach.
Carter with the miss. Lee in the front court. There's Deshaun Knight, 23 points.
Well, Deshaun Knight has to be the focal point defensively for Wichita State. Baker matched up with him. And they get the steal.
Baker hits the deck, saved by Wessel. Van Vliet blocked by McIntosh. Mikhail McIntosh coming from out of nowhere. And Baker commits the foul. The third on Baker.
Watch Mikhail McIntosh and Reggie Lynch both sprinting back. They both get into the play because of effort right there. I mean, that turnover took place 40 feet away from the basket, which means Lynch and McIntosh were way back. They sprinted the floor to put themselves in position to make that play.
2 for 2 the last trip to the line for Mikhail McIntosh out of Pickering, Ontario. Nice form. 3 points for McIntosh. 62-58 Illinois State.
The number 8 team in the country right now on the ropes in the semifinals in St. Louis. And the dark horse, Illinois State, up 5.
4 for Mikhail McIntosh. It's getting late. 37 seconds and counting. Cotton lost it out of bounds, and it's Wichita State's ball.
That's going to be checked. They're going to check that out. There were 3 guys in red jerseys all pointing immediately that it went off of Cotton's leg. All of them asked for a video review.
So Bert Smith and John Higgins go over to the monitor. And we'll look right along with them.
Blocked off from that angle.
They're blocked off.
And look at Paris Lee. Paris Lee, one of the great steal guys in the country. Look at how he reaches, how long he gets with that left toe.
But was Lee the last one to touch it?
Paris Lee hit it with his left hand. He's one of the great steal guys in the country, number 8 in steals. And he gets so long with his footwork, he was able to get his fingertips on it. And that's a matter of where the ball caromed off. Boy, it's hard to say.
Oh, that is. Just from that angle, looked like Cotton could have touched it as his hand went forward.
Well, with Paris Lee's left hand coming into the ball, how could he possibly deflect it out of bounds? But you can't go by the possibly. You got to go by visual evidence here. There's the left hand.
Ooh, it looked like Cotton. The ball came off his fingertips.
It's really hard to tell.
Well, it's hard to see.
And if it's not definitive, it'll stay Wichita State ball because that was the call. Well, that ball flies out of there so fast.
Wichita State's ball, 28 on the shot clock, 32.2 on the game clock.
I couldn't see anything definitively to change the call. Good job by the officials. And Wichita State lives to fight another day right here.
Greg Marshall wants a quick basket. Timeout called. Van Vliet was taking a look at how they were defending the inbounds pass. And now they'll talk it over to Greg Marshall over at the Wichita State bench.
I've seen such a metamorphosis of Illinois State's ability to make plays and execute defensively and offensively in late game situations. This is a team that lost a lot of close games. They learned these lessons the hard way because they gave some games away, and I watched it happen. One that comes to mind is Northern Iowa, who they had down, and Ben Jacobson went to a zone, and Illinois State really kind of grasped defeat from the jaws of victory in that game. But this team has continued to get better and learn, and here they are as late game closers right now against the number 8 team in America.
Illinois State defending the inbounds pass. Takale Cotton will trigger the pass. Way out front to Van Vliet. 30 seconds and counting against the Illinois State zone.
They tried to free Baker off the back screen, couldn't get him.
Here's Van Vliet drawing contact and a foul. This is on Lynch. He is fouled out with 21.3 seconds to go.
Boy, a well-designed play, but well defended by Illinois State. They tried to free Baker on a back screen to the corner for a wide open three. They couldn't get it because of the defensive adjustment of Illinois State.
So Lynch fouls out, 11 points today. And a 63-58 lead for Illinois State. And they chant Reggie, Reggie, the Illinois State fans. They're behind the basket to our right. And here's Deontay Hawkins, freshman from Dayton, Ohio, in for Reggie Lynch. And early in the game, some really good minutes off the bench by John Jones.
Yeah.
For Dan Muller. Fred Van Vliet. Score with the clock stopped. That's the idea here, and Van Vliet has another one coming. 16 for Van Vliet.
Bush Wamakoda now put in for defensive purposes because you know Wichita State's going for full court pressure. That way you've got a shot blocker, long guy on the backside of the defense.
Fred hit both. Van Vliet has 17. 63-60, Illinois State trying to close this out. Timeout called. Well, the inbounds passes were so tough to make for Illinois State in the first half. They've done a little better job in the second half, but Wichita State has picked up the intensity with time running out here, 21.3 to go. And coming up next, our second game of Arch Madness, the semifinals, Northern Iowa, the second seed, against Loyola of Chicago. And Porter Moser's team put on a show last night and just took the game to Indiana State. That game was basically over after about the first 10 or 15 minutes.
Boy, how important is a Milton Doyle on your team? I'll tell you how important. The Ramblers are 14-5 with him and 5-7 without him. And they are playing high-level basketball going up against the Northern Iowa team that boasts the Coach of the Year in the Valley and Ben Jacobson and the Larry Bird Trophy winner and Seth Tuttle. But I'm telling you, Loyola is hot.
Illinois State has a run of the baseline to inbound the ball. This is tough going, and a turnover. Van Vliet with 20 seconds, stepping up and scoring. That looked easy. A 30-second timeout with 17.1 to go, and Illinois State clinging now to a 1-point lead.
Closing out close games. And the play was designed for Akun Purcell. He comes to the ball. There's a misread there. And Van Vliet does a smart thing. Gets a turnover and takes it right to the rim.
And Illinois State did not foul, so the Redbirds keep a 1-point lead with 17 seconds to go. But the going has been tough trying to get the ball in bounds for Illinois State here lately. John Higgins wants them to break the huddle over around Dan Muller.
We talk a lot about spacing in the half-court offensive game. It's also about spacing going up against the full-court pressure.
Darius Carter is going to defend the inbounds pass, attempting to make that Paris Lee. Deshaun Knight, he's covered well. More trouble. And there is Akun Purcell in the backcourt. Knight gets the ball across the line. Hawkins back to Knight, fouled by Baker. 4 fouls on Baker, stopping the clock with 7.6 to go.
So you might have asked, why doesn't Wichita State foul there? Well, for one thing, you want to give your team the opportunity to get the steal in the front 47, because they got it before, and Illinois State has had a difficult time getting it in. I kind of like the gamble. It's just a matter of getting back and getting the foul a little bit earlier.
23 today for Deshaun Knight. His first attempt from the free throw line coming up. 7.6 seconds left as Illinois State is trying to upend the number 8 team in the country. Oh, that crawled over. Timeout, Wichita State, and Wichita State wants a full timeout to discuss what happens after a make, a miss, what they're going to do with the last 7.6 seconds.
So here's what's going to happen. Illinois State right now, Dan Muller is preparing to be up by 3. If he's up by 3, he's going to foul. I've asked him the question every single game, will you foul or defend? He has, without hesitation, said, we would foul. If they're up 3 with 7.6 to go, he's going to look to turn the ball. He's going to look to turn the ball coming up the floor and then go for the foul right there. Now, Greg Marshall knows that. And Greg Marshall's going to design a play so that he's going to be telling his team, look, if we're down by 3 and you turn with the ball and you feel any contact, go into your shooting motion right away. And that's how Wichita State's going to counter this situation. But if they're up 3, I'd be surprised. I've asked Dan Muller this a dozen times over the last 2 years, what he would do, and every time he said he would foul in this situation up 3.
What's your philosophy on that?
You know, I think it really depends on the type of team you're playing. If they're a really good 3-point shooting team, you got a Baker, you got a Van Vliet. In that case, I'd probably foul. If I had a bunch of bricklayers out there, I'd probably go and play my own defense.
Because what Wichita State wants, as you mentioned, get to the line if you can with that clock stopped, to pick up a couple of points and then go from there with their hounding defense. Let's see what Knight does. He made the first free throw, giving Illinois State a 2-point lead at 64-62. This one's in play. It's 7.6 seconds to go. A 3-point lead for Illinois State. Baker into Van Vliet.
They're going to foul. Now, they're going to foul.
Van Vliet lets it fly, and it won't go. Illinois State has upset the number 8 team in the country.
Well, I was wrong. Dan Muller decided to defend and got away with it.
Well, Mark Adams, there's your dark horse in the conference tournament. The dark horse advances to play on Sunday on CBS.
Well, Dan Muller rolled the dice. He had a 50-50 proposition, and he decided to defend and Fred VanVleet couldn't quite knock it down. And you know what? The Missouri Valley Conference now, depending on tomorrow, could be a 3-bid league. That's what this means.
With the win for Illinois State, that's 21 victories. And victories over Evansville, and now a top 10 team. Illinois State beats Wichita State, the number 8 team in the country, to advance to the finals. Our players of the game are a presentation of Coventry Healthcare and Aetna Company. Visit CoventryHealthcare.com for more information. Health Wellness, Coventry Healthcare. And Deshaun Knight, what a show he put on today. He had 24 points, officially 24 points, 10 of 15 from the field. Fred VanVleet had 19, going 8 of 15 with 5 assists and 7 rebounds. Our Coventry Healthcare players of the game. All right, Mark, let's get set for another one. You and I in Loyola.
I'm ready right now as the Illinois State Redbirds come up with a huge upset over the number 8 Wichita State. But get ready for Northern Iowa against Loyola. They are hot, and Northern Iowa's really good.
That's coming up, Loyola and Northern Iowa after Illinois State's upset of Wichita State, 65-62. For Mark Adams, I'm John Rooney. More Arch Madness in store.